know, during our numerous hours of counseling, a very common question will always come up, and that is, a lot of students who come from good business getting a degree or not, is it worth finding out and going through school, college to find out if I'm good at something because I already know what I'm good at. So they want to know what is the value of them going through 3 years of after plus two or 5 years of after plus two. What is the point? Many would ask, have gone on to do very successful businesses. So what I'm going to share with you now over here is what I call, is education required for business success? Most people talk about, is education required for career, for a job? We all know the answer to that. But is education required for business success? Let's look at that for the moment. Before that, one of my favorites is Mark Twain. And one of my favorite sayings of his is, I have never let my schooling interfere with my education. I'll leave that now for the moment. And let's look at different business successes. Okay? For example, I have listed down over here actually 8, like Nirma, Reliance Dhirubhai Ambani, Oyo Ritesh Agarwal, Adani Group, like Gautam Adani, so on and so forth. Right? You must be seeing it on your screen now. This business success, what is common amongst all of them over here is that they are very, very good business people who really charted across different paths and they have made their own company come up very, very well, either as a startup or as a traditional company. Another common thing you'll see over here that they have, none of them have a very formal education. Okay, the next slide also talks about business success of equally good companies in the same country as in India. That is like Zomato, Infosys, Wow Momos. I've just taken a few of them. Byju's, Flipkart, Swiggy. Flipkart started by people like Sachin and Billy Bansal. Byju's by Baiju Ravindran. Zomato by Dipinder Goyal. Wow Momos by Sagar Daryani, Vinod Kumigai. So all of them, then you notice over here, like Infosys, Narayan Murthy, you notice another common factor, besides their business is doing very well. They're all educated. They all carry a degree. So if you look at it one side, we have business success stories of people without formal education doing very well. We have business successes of people with formal education doing very well. So I agree. Many would be very confused. Now let's look at it from a different angle. And that is you. You as a person. If you're a business person, if you want to start an entrepreneurship, if you want to take on a business and make it grow, expand, then you will find the rest of this presentation extremely interesting because we're going to talk about you. The first thing is, we'll talk about business acumen. For business acumen, you don't need formal education. Business acumen is something that grows within yourself. It's more of a socio-economic condition. There are lots of socio-economic factors that play a role in sharpening your business acumen. And you just have it in you. What are these? It's like understanding basic business practices. It's like decision making. You're probably learning this from your family members, you're learning this from your seniors who are around you, and you can probably see them, hear them make decisions extremely fast. And you can make out they're making good decisions and quick decisions. You learn a lot about negotiation. All this is business acumen, socio-economic conditions. You learn about cash flow, how to spend the money, how not to spend the money. All this is needed for any business venture. There's another thing that comes with business acumen, and that is intuitiveness. Once intuitiveness comes in, this is also something that doesn't always come from your degree. It's something you already have. Industry knowledge. Industry knowledge is what you're already exposed to. You might be seeing this from a child. You might be having a certain dream. You might be reading a lot about that particular business venture. So when you want to start that, you already know a lot about that industry. All this is business acumen. However, along with this, there's something very critical, extremely critical. With all this comes something known as gut instinct. If your gut instinct is good, you know you got it made. Again, this does not come from degrees. This does not come from education. Okay, now let's switch to degrees. What do we mean by degrees? What do we mean by education? Degrees. Fair enough. Why do we go after these degrees? These degrees would be probably, for example, technical. You might have computer science, you might want to do education technology, you might want to be in engineering, you might want to look at information systems, so on and so forth, which are very technical. So what do you do if you want to get into the technical side of it? Then you have to go and get yourself a technical degree. What if you want to go and get a professional degree? What if you like to be a chartered accountant, an ICWA, so on and so forth, an architect? Then as a professional, you want to get into law, you want to be a doctor, you want to start your own clinic. These are all professions and they're very good ones. What do you want to do? What do you want to start? For this you need different degrees. You need to be a CA, you need to be a lawyer, so on and so forth. In business, you need to know the accounting principles. You need to know a lot about consumer behavior. You need to know about finance. All this can come from your degrees, different degrees that you can get. About human resources, about manhandling, about finding out how to do peer handling, about getting work done from others, so on and so forth. These degrees, there are many. Now, for someone like you, is degree the only thing that's going to help you when you go through college? Not really. There's a very critical thing. The degree is very important. It gives you the technical knowledge, it gives you the professional knowledge, the required skill sets, so on and so forth. But when you're in college and university, what you really develop extremely fast is communication. Very important for business success. Your communication goes up. How to communicate? It's not just the languages. How do you use different devices? How do you use different software? How do you use different social media to communicate? To communicate effectively. What is the meaning of listening? So on and so forth. You learn that very fast during. That's another very important thing. How do you get a problem solved? Your own personality development is required. Believe me, 2 years amount of personality development that happens really helps a lot. Creative thinking. Tremendous creative thinking happens during your stay in college or university. It's huge. Creative thinking broadens your mind, gets you going. And then it leads to the next factor, which is to do with change. Therefore, your adaptive thinking also has to be on. That skill also has to become very, very good. And that is what will hold you in good stead as you go on in life with your business. Organizational ability. There are many things that any entrepreneur has to do and handle. And how does one handle all these organizational abilities? All this is learned. Besides whatever education one is getting, whatever technical exposure one is getting. These sort of exposures are great. Another type of exposure one gets during the university and college tenure is different ideas. The other exposure is the network that you build, the alumni that you become a part of. All this is very important. Analysis, you start analyzing things because now that's become part of your system. Criticism, constructive criticism, global exposure. Let me go a little bit deeper into these because these are very important. Only comes from education. Ideas. I'll give you a small example. Today's global village, to be successful, ideas are extremely essential. Without ideas, can you think of any idea which business is started without an idea? Facebook was an idea, Microsoft was an idea, Yahoo was an idea, Amazon was an idea. Ideas within ideas. Alexa was an idea. They all happen. So ideas through exposure. This happens. And most ideas are germinated from colleges and universities. Take Facebook, take Microsoft. They all happen when they were in college. It's very, very common. You can go through a number of them. Apple being another one. A lot of universities are given rise. All this happened because they got idea from college, university, while they were there, and because they had the business acumen, they knew this idea will work. And they got exposed to the idea, and later on, they made it work. Network. Is network important? Yes. One type of network is your birthright. You're born in a certain family, you get the network straight away. For example, when Prince Harry was born, he got the royal family network straight away. No questions asked. That happens with everybody. Right? When the heir to Dhirubhai Ambani was born, they got networks straight away. The family, so on and so forth. So everybody has a certain birthright of a network. But the network that comes through education exposure is equally important because it's very varied. It's very spread out. It has different type of knowledge that's coming in, and it's usually extremely varied. It helps in identifying opportunities for partnerships, joint ventures, new areas of expansion. For what? For your business. It's huge, the network that you build while you're in college. Besides your birthright network, which you anyway have, which actually closely overlapping that is the alumni. Most good colleges, they have the alumni, which means you need not be exposed only to your 1 year senior, your own year, and your 1 year junior network. But anyone who's passed out of those colleges or those universities, they're all part of your alumni. Therefore, you can actually share many ideas with them, and even the future who are going to pass out, they will start sharing ideas, and lots of good businesses have come out of that. So the alumni exposure is extremely important, right? Connections can lead to different internships, they can lead to different partnerships and create business opportunities. This is a known fact. That is what happens over here. Now, again, education exposure, you remember analysis. Very important. Education helps us. How to do overall productivity and success analysis. How are ROIs actually done in a more mathematical and scientific manner so that you don't run into trouble later? How do you work out a sound framework which actually questions your own arguments, your own thought process to make sure that those points are actually worthwhile for your business or not? You have to do the right analysis. Education exposure gives you that. It also gives you the ability to weigh different alternatives, make decisions, evaluate situations. And that's what it's all about. You notice over here, we're not talking about anything technical. We're just talking what's the different exposure. Another exposure which I believe is very important for you is when you're especially in college or in university. And I believe this is why many very, very successful businessmen send their children to study in some universities, good universities, for a particular reason, and that is constructive criticism. It's a very valuable tool. When you're in college, you're just another person. You need constructive criticism. You don't need yes men. You don't need people to say whatever you say that's right, because it need not be right. And by the time you realize that you are not right, it might be a little too late, or you might have gathered a lot of loss. Right? You need to learn and grow, and that's what constructive criticism does. It gives you a very new perspective, and as a personality, it opens your eyes. Yes, it opens your eyes to think about new ideas, innovation, and most importantly, taking someone else's idea, being open to someone else's idea, someone else's thought, and sewing it together with your own business acumen, with your own ability, having a good brainstorm session and working on something. Constructive criticism, believe me, very, very required. Otherwise, it's just a one-way street. And that can either be up or down. Another very important factor over here is, again, exposure from education, and that, especially today, the world is a global village. We all know that. We all know that. Right? We got to understand the global scenario from a different cultural perspective. And education gives you a huge global exposure. It's very important when you do hunt for a particular degree, for a particular education exposure, you should make sure that you get global exposure, at least some part of it. The different student exchange programs, it's called cross-cultural exposures. There are many different ways to expand your horizons. And there are ample opportunities to learn and understand. There are different global techniques which can be brought in over here. There can be different techniques which can be exported, which people might find them very, very useful. So this goes on, it's a cycle, it's a never-ending cycle. But the point is, you need global exposure, very required. Okay, I'm just going to summarize. Business acumen, you have. Skills developed in college, university, exposure you're going to get. Degrees required, you're going to get. All this put together with education exposure, again you're going to get. What does that mean? When you club all of them together with gut instinct, right? That is when you, as an individual, will find success. And believe me, success is joy. Let me once again repeat that. Success is joy, and you will achieve that. And I really wish each one of you get there. The sooner, the better. Thank you. Bye-bye.